Hi folks, my name is Tim Savage and I am the immediate past president of the Orchestra of Northern New York. I am also host of Behind the Scenes of ONNY, one of 5 new ONNY online programs which includes fascinating conversations with a wide variety of people who have been and are involved in the ONNY family today, from donors, our volunteer transportation crew who also serve on our board of directors, and even a young artist competition participant. One of my favorite interviews was with ONNY's founder, music director, and conductor Ken Andrews, whom I deem to be one of the most significant personalities of the past 50 years in our region for his many areas of impact as a visionary, performer, and master teacher. The first of 4 segments of this interview aired on Thursday, October 1, and can be viewed by going to our website, onny.org/online. Let me ask you a question about that. You've informed the board on a few occasions that major orchestras like the New York Philharmonic prepare for performances with 5 rehearsals, whereas the ONNY, if we're lucky, get 3 rehearsals to prepare for our performances.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, first thing, there are kind of 3 tiers of orchestras. I mean, there are many that the league talks about, but we have full-time professional orchestras that have up to 8 services. And a service is either a rehearsal or a concert. That's in union terms. And they have 8 services, usually 5 rehearsals, 3 concerts. And they can mix and match, and the union contracts are extremely, I mean, they sometimes are that thick as far as how you mix and match. Then you have regional professional orchestras like ONNY, which are not, they are not full-time players. They come in. There are many in this area that work this way, and they use a lot of musicians from the region, but also people from outside. Our musicians come not only from our northern New York region, but from all over. These professional orchestras, something like New York or Chicago or Boston, have 8 rehearsals. They spend a full week rehearsing, and these are pieces that every one of those members has played 1,000 times, at least, and yet they still spend a week. Some orchestras that are regional professional orchestras, like ours, have 4 rehearsals. Many of them use 4. And we started actually with 5 in the beginning. We had about a week and a half. We would do about a week and a half work. And then the board asked me to cut it to 4 because just financially, as the orchestra grew and pay was higher and costs were more involved, they asked me to cut it. So we had 1 on Monday and then the 3 that we have now. Then they asked me if I could cut that one as well. Not because they wanted to, but because that's their job, to make sure the orchestra doesn't, that it stays.
Keep it liquid.
Exactly, exactly. And did we have words about it? Yes. But they were always respectful. I mean, I knew what they were trying to do, and I was trying to explain to them how hard this was. What's difficult about 3 rehearsals is that when you have 4, or particularly 5, is that you have a rehearsal that you can play, that you can kind of explore, just let everyone know what's going on. Then you have at least 3 rehearsals that you can work. And then you have a true dress rehearsal. What we have is 1 rehearsal that we explore and work, another one to just work, that's our only really working rehearsal, and then we have what's a dress rehearsal, which I consider a working dress rehearsal. And that's very difficult. Orchestra, for instance, like the Syracuse Symphony used to have Monday rehearsal, Tuesday was off. Wednesday a rehearsal, 2 on Thursday, 1 on Friday morning. So if you got to the rehearsal on Monday and you thought, holy cow, this is a little more than I remembered, you had Tuesday to prepare. Sure. But here, our musicians, most of them have full-time jobs in addition to what we're doing. So they have a Thursday night rehearsal and they're back to work, most of them on Friday, and then bingo, we're right back to play, and then we play the very next morning, and then we're off to the races for the concerts. It requires, I call it doing surgery, was my term for it. People have always asked me, how do you prepare for this? I think the musicians dread seeing my yellow tablet every rehearsal. And it's usually got 20 or 30 pages of notes. And what I do is prepare, even for the first rehearsal, carefully. I go home after Thursday night. I usually spend till about 3 in the morning, or 4, depending, preparing notes for the next night's rehearsal. thinking back to everything that happened and didn't happen. Or I work for a couple of hours and then get up at 4 or 5 and work until I would start to teach, because I taught full-time both days. And then after I'd finished teaching at 4 or 5 o'clock, I would again study and work on these notes before the rehearsals Thursday night and Friday night. And the same thing Friday night, would do that. And then still even on Saturday afternoon, because when you have so few rehearsals, the first concert is still, you're doing some work from between the musicians and the conductor. So it's a very difficult thing, and
but it's your favorite part, you said.
Oh, it's my favorite part is doing the rehearsals. It's just sometimes tough because it's truncated. It becomes very truncated, but it's great.
Kind of like locking yourself in your bedroom door and learning 4 octaves on the flute.
maybe, yeah.
So you've done hundreds of concerts with the orchestra. You still find them exciting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't feel any less electric or excited than when I get on the podium and do it. Now, sometimes in between, it's, we have so much to do. We have such a small staff for what we do that we all wear a lot of hats, and we all do things in an orchestra like Chicago or New York, where they might have 25 people in the office. You have people doing different things, but in our orchestra, we have, Kathy Del Giudice does a million things. I try to help out in every way I can with what I do besides the music director, and so it can get frustrating at times just because we all have a lot to do. But in the end, when it's time to make the music happen, it's electric. It feels that way.
Well, it certainly comes off that way, and I have a favorite memory in the Clayton Opera House, sitting next to Randy Richardson and Tom and Mabel Walker and their family, and it was last summer's concert, and just the comments they were making about how good the music was making them feel, and watching you do what you do, and so it's very special. So that's great that you still
it is. It's
find it exciting, because it's obvious that you still do.
Well, I think if I didn't find it exciting to do the music, that would be time to go. But I think it's I still find, and I've been so blessed, I mentioned the board and I mentioned our staff that's so wonderful, but I got to tell you, what's been one of the most special things about all the 32 years are the friendships that I've formed with the musicians. These are amazing people, and unfortunately, as hard as our staff works and as hard as we work, it is difficult in northern New York to keep an orchestra alive. And I remember my very first year in 1988, several people came up to me and rather bluntly said, "This won't live past 1 year, if you're lucky, and maybe a year and a half." And this is our 33rd season. And thanks to the work of a lot of people who have worked so hard. And I think that the musicians that we've had, not only are the ones in the region, but the ones that have come from Montreal and Ottawa and Toronto and Rochester, Boston, New York, Syracuse, and many other parts, Burlington, people have come in that they have formed so many friendships. For the first maybe 18 years, I would house 5 of the musicians at my house during concert weekends. And many of these were from Ottawa. And they had escaped the Iron Curtain. And every night we would sit around the fire and talk about, one was from Romania, had escaped Romania. 2 were from the Soviet Union. Another one was from Czechoslovakia. And the stories they would tell were amazing. And we would discuss the music of the week too. We would read things about Beethoven and to each other in front of the fire. Oh, wow. And it was pretty amazing, pretty amazing.